I have your attention, please? Does this place look familiar to you? What about this one? What about this one? What about that one? Have you been there? I think you have been there. You sick fuck. How can you know? How can you know if you've never been somewhere, or if you just forgot being there? See, what I just showed you are examples of liminal spaces. With the recent boom in the topic, starting around 2020 or so, and in preparation for the upcoming movie, hopefully, there is no better time to talk about this phenomenon than right now. But see, what is a liminal space? Now, if you clicked on the video, you probably already know what they are, or at least you can identify what they are, since the only thing more mysterious than liminal spaces is the definition of them. The word liminal refers to things that exist at the threshold between one thing and another. So a liminal space refers to the transitional phase between your point A and point B, such as a hallway. See, you got a point A and a point B, and in between that, your transitional phase, your hallway, which may be an explanation to why common examples of liminal spaces are hallways. And to that you might say, but Daddy Ty, how come I always see things like stores and restrooms be classified as liminal spaces? Doesn't that mean you contradicted what you said? No. Because I'm never wrong. No, but seriously, I do have an explanation for that. See, something that we can all agree on is that liminal spaces feel dreamlike or memory-like, depending on the image. So houses and restrooms would be more memory-like, while the more surreal examples like pool rooms and back rooms would be more dreamlike. And what could dreams or memories be defined as? Transitional. Dreams and memories are the transitional phases between your consciousness and reality. The angle, the quality, and overall style makes these images feel like they were screenshots of experiences from whether it be your dreams or memories. And that's why these images may feel familiar, but you have no recollection of being in the location of where those images are, because you often forget your dreams and your memories often fade. Now, there is a formula to them, a list of qualifications that make a liminal space a liminal space. Rule number 1, the quality must be complete ass. Absolutely horrible. But again, this is what gives it that vibe that someone scanned your brain and generated an image from your memories. Number 2, the actual subject in the photo has to invoke this sense of nostalgia with a hint of disturbance. Like the feeling you get when you reminisce on the past. There's this sense of comfort from the experience, yes, but then again, you feel this disturbance, since you will never get to experience that part of your life for the first time again. Sometimes it's not even then. Sometimes you experience that longing in the moment, and you're aware that it will eventually pass and you'll be reminiscing on it in the future. There's this misconception that liminal spaces are just creepy pictures, and that's not true. It can be off-putting, but it predominantly has to invoke some variant of deja vu, nostalgia, and etc. But where did these come from? Like, yeah, they've always existed, and they've made a name for themselves in recent years, but there had to have been appearances of them before we had a proper definition for it. What were the examples of them? And to answer that, we have to go back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu.
Here's Johnny!
Between its production hell, its presence in not just horror, but in pulp culture as a whole, and being probably the most deconstructed film ever to exist, having an entire podcast titled 237 dedicated to discussing all the theories about it, The Shining needs no introduction. Because we're not going to be talking about it. Instead, we're going to be talking about the hotel itself. A huge component of this movie's whole vibe is the uncanniness of the Overlook Hotel. The literal physical structure doesn't make any sense. For example, take a look at Ullman's office. At a first glance, nothing seems particularly wrong with it, but pay attention to this window here. Right behind Ullman's office is a hallway, so by logic, the window shouldn't lead to the outside, it should lead right to the hall on the other side of the room. The whole movie is full of these small inconsistencies in the layout of the hotel that you likely didn't even notice on your first time watching. Most of the time, things like this would be considered errors. However, going off the fact that this movie was directed by Stanley Kubrick, I wouldn't put it past him that he made these choices deliberately. There's this very methodical vibe to all of his works. Eyes Wide Shut, 2001 Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange. Every one of his movies give this impression that every little detail, every little direction has a meaning to it. That there is this underlying symbolical story underneath the visual one. And while Kubrick's version of the story strayed very far away from King's version of the story, this version is probably what comes to mind when someone mentions The Shining. The eerie atmosphere, the inconsistencies, the horrifying visuals, all accumulate into this image that is just seared into your mind, well over 40 years after the film's release. Another inspiration that I wanted to touch on was the scene from Twin Peaks when Dale Cooper was walking through the red rooms. Yeah, you remember that scene?
I've got good news. That the mule is going to come back in style. She's my cousin.
Now, let's get into the real meat. The real reason why you're here. Why are we so captivated? Why are we so drawn to these images? Liminal spaces tap into that deep, primitive part of our mind. They feel like we're being confronted with our own past that we forgot. We feel this comfort yet off-put, whether that is because the image reminds you of a happy place that you were amidst an unpleasant childhood, a place you visited in your dreams, or somewhere you visited but you can't remember when or why. Now, if you've noticed, then good for you, I guess. But if you haven't, we've been listening to Everywhere at the End of Time by The Caretaker, the name of which is inspired by The Shining. Composed by Leyland Kirby, the track was made to be an audible simulation of memory loss symptoms akin to that of dementia or Alzheimer's, accompanied by the artworks by Ivan Seal to give us as well as a visual representation of the stages of the diseases, starting with slightly off-putting depictions of otherwise mundane objects. A roll of fabric, a flower pot, but by the end of the video, it's just shapes and colors. Dementia is not forgetting where your keys are or forgetting to turn the TV off. It's forgetting what keys are and what a TV even is. The loss of the ability to recognize your own surroundings. One of the most terrifying things ever, at least to me, is having the one thing, the one singular thing that you own, that is yours, that no one can take, your mind. Your memories, your experiences, slowly stripped away from you piece by piece. You forget your memories, you forget the faces of people, you forget names, you forget where you put things, you forget who you are. Your organs forget how to function. Liminal spaces represents the whole we feel when reminiscing on a place from our past, and the fear we feel when a piece of ourselves is gone, and the guilt of not remembering the exact details from a cherished point from our lives, when things were simpler because you were protected by the innocent perspective of a child, when the most you had to worry about was going to bed early before you forgot what your childhood best friend's face looked like before they moved away, when you would watch YouTube videos that you knew you weren't supposed to be watching, when all your siblings still lived in the same house and you went downstairs at 7 in the morning to unwrap your Christmas presents, when the scariest thing you knew was the fictional monster that chased you up the stairs after turning off all the lights, before you knew what taxes were, the time when you wanted to grow old, because you were unaware that your parents would also grow old as well. Thank you for your time and attention, and I will see you when I feel like it. I don't like this camera angle. Makes me look short.